Well, this is it. The 2x4 foot N scale project layout is in this crate and it's ready to ship out to the person that bought it. Anyway, let's take a look at how I built this shipping crate, how everything is getting packed inside, and look at some final videos of the layout. So to build this crate, I ended up using 3 sheets of roughly 1/2 inch OSB plywood, 3 sheets of 1-inch insulation foam board, all that material 4 by 8 feet. I also used 8 1x4s, and then obviously a whole lot of screws and everything else. I used a 2x4 as well for the bottom of the whole crate. I made the base 30 by 53 inches, although I should have made it 32 by 53 in terms of how everything ended up working out. I screwed some 2x4s to the bottom of this base to raise it up so it could be easily moved by a pallet jack. And then I worked on framing up an area for the layout legs. So basically I built a box on the top of this base so the legs would nest easily inside of it. I added a layer of foam for the bottom side to add a little bit of cushioning for those metal legs. And then I basically just put the legs in there and added additional foam to it to fill up the entire void area up to the top of the layout legs, and then cut out a piece of foam to fit on top. I also cut out foam to fit in the recess on the bottom of the actual layout itself, and in fact put 2 layers of foam in there, and they were different types of foam. I had that regular beaded styrofoam, I used a layer of that, and then another layer of this insulation foam board to fill up the entire gap on the bottom side of the layout, so all the weight would be distributed evenly on that layer of foam. And then of course there'd be another layer of foam below that between the layout and the legs, so a lot of cushioning on the bottom of the layout. So you can see how everything looks stacked up with the layout legs and the layout on top of that base. So next was just a matter of building all the panels for the crate itself. So I made all of them 2 feet tall, and then I just made them so they'd be long enough and wide enough to cover this base area. So again, it was 53 inches long and 30 inches wide, but basically I just took the sheets of OSB, cut them to the size that I needed, and then I just screwed on 1x4s to the perimeter of each of those sheets, and then on the long sides I added a vertical piece in the middle as well. So once I had all those sides made up, it was just really a matter of screwing them to the base and to each other to build up the crate. So once that was done, I had to cut up all the foam to fit around the interior of the layout. Basically, I had 2 layers of foam around the entire perimeter between the layout itself and the walls of the crate. Okay, so here is the arrangement of foam around the interior of the layout. So I have this outer layer of foam around the perimeter between the crate and the inner layer of foam, and then I have an inner layer of foam that's a little bit lower around the entire perimeter, and then to that layer I have other pieces of foam screwed to it that extend over the top of the layout in all directions. And in the front here I have a whole bunch of layers of foam, so it not only extends over the front part of the bottom level, but also this middle level. And this is here to prevent the middle level lid from kind of bouncing up and down. Even though it's fairly snug when it's in the down position, this will prevent anything from bouncing upwards. Similarly, I have this band of foam here. This just slides up and down, but what that will do is help to secure this top level front end from also bouncing up and down. It's attached to the back side with a knob, but this front end, even though it is a snug fit again, it could possibly bounce up and down, and that wouldn't be ideal. And so this will help prevent that from happening. Also, if anything breaks loose from this side, it'll be harder for it to get to this side, and vice versa. So that may help protect things a little bit as well. Now this level is lower than this level. There will be an entire layer of foam that fits on top of here. I'll show you that. Okay, so there's this top level of foam, and then on top of here I have a support beam that goes across here, and then additional layers of foam that go all the way from this top level to this top level. And I have to trim this up slightly, but overall the idea here is this beam will screw into either side, and that prevents the top from getting crushed in a little bit if for some reason that was, obviously the lid will do that as well, but this just provides a little bit of extra strength on the lid area. Also, if something is sitting on top of here, it does provide something in the middle that will add some additional rigidity as well. The top level is actually going to be basically 2 layers of 1/2 inch OSB, so that's going to be pretty strong as it is. And so if stuff is on top of it, it should be pretty strong, but this will just add a little bit of extra strength in case it's needed. So that's pretty much how everything is going to be packed up here in the interior. Now, when you're shipping a crate like this, you need to know not just the dimensions of it, but you also need to know the weight. I don't have a scale to weigh anything like this, so I just used a regular scale that you would have in your bathroom, but that required me to disassemble the entire crate into a bunch of pieces. And then I could weigh each of those pieces individually, just hold it on the scale. I could subtract my own weight and then sum up the total weight of all the individual pieces. So I ended up coming up to close to 250 pounds for everything, the layout and the crate. Only 60 of that was the layout itself. The rest was all the crate itself. So the crate is pretty heavy. It does add a lot of weight, but basically something this size, 250 pounds, most of that being the weight of the crate. And then it was just a matter of reassembling everything and making sure everything was good and secure, and I didn't forget any of the screws or anything else. And so everything was then pretty much ready to go, except for one last thing. So I decided that I really did want to make this somewhat weatherproof in case, during loading or unloading from the shipping truck, it was raining hard, which has been doing a lot here lately. And so I got plastic wrap. This is, the kind that you would use for wrapping boxes together on a pallet. And I put about 4 or 5 layers of plastic all around the sides and top of the layout. And then I reinforced the edges with regular packing tape as well to make it more durable. So hopefully it won't tear much during shipping, but this way, if we do have rain during loading or unloading, it is going to be relatively waterproof, at least from rain falling down. And you don't see it here, but of course I had to add a bunch of labels to this. And I also made 2 instruction documents. I made one document on how to disassemble the crate. Not that that's very complicated per se, but it kind of gives you an idea of the best order to go in terms of removing things to make it easiest to unpack the layout itself, since obviously you don't know that if you're unpacking this and haven't seen how I actually attached everything in the first place. The other document is simply how to set up the layout in terms of attaching the legs and hooking everything up in terms of controllers and all of that, and how everything works in terms of buttons and all those kinds of things. So overall, everything ready to go to ship to the client. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching how I'm shipping this layout. I'm sad to see it go. It's been a lot of fun to work on and to operate. And, it's always a little bit sad to see these projects leave, but this does finally give me more room in the garage to finish up the ON30 layout, to finish up the N-scale switching layout, and to work on the O-gauge switching layout that I'm ready to get going on. So yeah, endings are always new beginnings, a chance to really get going on some of these new projects. So watch for those videos coming up here in the coming weeks. I'd also like to thank my channel members listed here. If you become a channel member, you do get early access to the videos, and you do get some additional behind the scenes video content as well. But anyway, that's all for now, and thanks for watching. Bye.